everyone, it's Kate and welcome back to my home. Today's workout is reformer and tower inspired, so I've been trying to get as creative as possible of trying to replicate all of those exercises that we usually do on the equipment. And I would say this workout feels actually pretty similar to a reformer workout that we typically do in the studio. I used a lot of props, so what you'll need is a long loop, or not really a loop, but a long band, a towel, a ball, and then we also use the wall today as well. One thing I'm going to show you with the band real quick, so we're going to be doing some supine arm work as well as what we would typically do if our hands were in the straps for like 100 prep or coordination. So I have mine looped around a pole, but if you don't have something like that available in your home, if you take a long band and put a knot right in the center, you can put it into the doorway. So if you just open the door and close it, what you'll be able to do is create a spot where you know the band's not going to go anywhere, but you still have two long ends to work with. And I think that's all, so I guess we'll get started. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So you can go ahead and lie down on your mat, facing the wall. Feet are going to be sit bone distance apart, and arms just rested down at your sides. And we'll just start here with some breathing. Slowing down your breath and slowing down your mind and your thoughts. So we inhale, expanding those ribs east to west, and exhale, drawing that belly button to spine as you corset the ribs down and together. Inhaling for 1, 2, 3, and exhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue at that pace if you feel comfortable doing so. As you continue to breathe, allowing your body to become still and grounded into the mat. Find a nice heavy sacrum here. It's a neutral spine, so there might be a little bit of a space under the low back there. And we'll start to warm up around the pelvis. So on your next exhale here, we'll start to curl up the pelvis, just allowing the low back to melt down into the mat. And then inhale to release the pelvis back forward, creating a little bit of a space between your low back and the mat. Exhaling to tuck, starting to draw that belly button to spine, and allowing your back to feel a nice lengthening stretch. And then inhale to release back forward. On this next one, we're going to lift up to just a small hover. So we exhale, begin to curl the pelvis back, pubic bone to belly button to spine, and lifting that sacrum just about an inch off the mat or to a small hover. We'll hold this position here. Take an inhale, and on your exhale, see if you can tuck a little bit deeper, creating that stretch and pull from the front of the thighs, knees reaching towards the wall, and creating more of a stretch along the back line of your body. And we'll inhale and exhale to slowly articulate back down, allowing that sacrum to release back forward, lifting slightly at the low back as your pelvis releases. And on this next one, we'll come all the way up, going into our full pelvic curl. So we exhale and we tuck and we lift one bone at a time, all the way up into your pelvic curl or bridge. Still trying to keep a little bit of a tuck from the pelvis and ribs glued down, neck in a lengthened position. We inhale at the top And exhale, melting down at the ribs first as we keep the pelvis lifted. And then continue to articulate one bone at a time, all the way back down to the mat. And again, once your sacrum hits, we release the pelvis forward on an inhale, and then exhale to repeat that motion again. Trying to move smoothly through your spine and not allowing yourself to skip that sticky part, which for me is my low back. So really trying to focus in on maybe that part of your spine that doesn't want to move today, and slowing it down so that you can try to get movement from each vertebrae of your spine. We inhale and pause at the top here, and exhale to slowly articulate back down. Inhale, release the pelvis forward, and exhale to repeat. We're going to start to pick up our pace a little bit. As you pick up your pace, try not to lose the quality of your form. Inhale at the top, exhale, articulate back down. We'll do a couple more like this, whatever pace feels comfortable for you. Continuing to coordinate that movement with your breath. And on this next one, when we lift up, we're going to stay lifted and go into some shoulder bridge prep. So we'll inhale and pause at the top. And on your exhale, we're going to lift that right leg up to tabletop. Inhale to lower that leg back down to the mat, and exhale to switch legs. So we're alternating sides here, lifting and lowering the leg, keeping that knee at a 90-degree angle. So we're really just hinging from the hip joint. We're looking to try to keep a nice level pelvis here. So trying not to allow the pelvis to shift at all side to side or rotate side to side. And that's really coming from your lower abdominal connection. We'll do a couple more on each side. Last one on the left. We'll bring that left leg back down. Reposition your pelvis if you feel that you've shifted at all. We'll take an inhale here and then exhale to melt back down one bone at a time. And from here, we're going to go right into our spine twist. So we have two options here for foot position. You can keep your feet rested down on the mat. Feet and knees come together. It's a little less stressful on the low back. Or you can follow along with me here. So we'll take an inhale and exhale to lift that right leg up to tabletop, followed by your left with control. Keeping a nice neutral spine here. So pelvis is released a little bit forward. So there's a slight natural space under the low back. And arms come out to a T position. So we're going to inhale here to bring both legs over towards the right, moving the body or lower body as one unit. And then exhale those left obliques. Pull your legs back to center. Inhale to rotate. And exhale to engage from that abdominal connection, bringing your legs back to center. And we'll continue just a few more on each side. Exhaling back to center, inhaling to rotate. Only going to the point where you feel that you can still maintain control. We'll go one more time each way. Last one over to the left. And with control, we'll bring one leg at a time back down to the mat. Sit bone distance apart once again. We're going to take the hands and interlace them behind our head. We're going into chest lift. So hands are interlaced, head is heavy into those fingertips. Pelvis again is released forward in a nice neutral position, and shoulders are plugged down away from our ears. We'll take an inhale to prepare, and as you exhale, we're going to lift those head, neck, and shoulders off the mat, keeping the neck long. Inhale and pause, and exhale to articulate back down. And we'll repeat that. Inhale and exhale to lift. As you lift, we're looking to keep a lengthened spine and neutral pelvis. So there might be a tendency as you lift here to tuck from the pelvis, but we're going to try to keep that released as you lift. Really trying to lift from the upper abs. Exhaling to lower. Inhale, pause, and exhale to lift. We'll go a few more at this pace. Taking your time and really slowing down the motion to make sure that you are really articulating from your upper spine, meaning that we're trying to move, again, one bone at a time as we lift and keeping that length from the spine as you lift. So not trying to collapse here, but rather lift almost out and up, creating length at the same time that you're warming up your abdominals. On this next one, when you lift up into the chest lift, we'll stay. We're going to work into a smaller range of motion. The goal here is to continue to keep that pelvis neutral. So we'll inhale here and pause. As you exhale, see if you can lift up a little bit higher without shifting the pelvis at all. Inhale to lower down an inch and exhale to lift up an inch. We'll do just a few more in this smaller range, kind of tapping into where your in range is. Where do you start to lose your form? Where does your pelvis want to start to change positions? On this next one, we're going to try to stay in that fully lifted position, and we'll go into chest lift with rotation. I'm going to take this one slow as well. So we'll take an inhale to prepare, and as you exhale, we're going to rotate over towards the right and stay. We're trying to keep both shoulder blades lifted off the mat here. So take an inhale, stay rotated to the right, and exhale. See if you can lift that right shoulder blade a little bit further off the mat. We'll inhale and come back to center, and exhale to rotate over to the left. Let's pause here. Take an inhale. Exhale, can you lift that left shoulder blade a little bit higher off the mat? Inhale back to center. We'll continue at a nice pace here now. So exhaling to rotate, inhaling to come back to center, and exhaling to rotate over to the other side. So like I said, we're working on trying to keep the height of our lift throughout the motion, especially on the return back to center. The other piece of this is continuing to keep that pelvis released forward and keeping equal weight through both sit bones, or I guess maybe both sides of your sacrum rather, in relation to the mat. So we're not allowing that pelvis to shift at all up and down or side to side. Let's go one more time each way. We'll pause and come back to center. Take an inhale here and exhale to note back down. Whew. We'll hug both knees in towards the chest. So we're nice and warmed up here. So now we're going to get into some of our footwork. And I've been playing around with different modifications of our footwork lately. And this one feels most similar to what we typically do on the Cadillac or the tower. I think what I miss most about footwork on the tower or Cadillac is getting that nice stretch through the back line of our body at the same time that we're working on the strengthening component. And that's really what you're going to get out of this. So what we're going to be doing is sitting really close towards the wall, facing the wall. The legs are going to come up the wall. If you don't have a free wall space, or if there's just not quite enough room to set up your mat, you can also do this against a door, as long as you know that door is not going anywhere, so it stays closed. And we're going to grab our long exercise band. So you can go ahead and get yourself nice and close to the wall, and then lie down on your back, bringing your legs up the wall. And then as far as how close or far away from the wall, depends on your hamstring flexibility. So for me today, my hamstrings are tight. They always are. Working on that. So I'm going to set up maybe about 6 inches away from the wall. But if you feel that you're not getting enough of a stretch through the back line as you're doing that, then you can maybe scoot yourself a little bit closer. The biggest thing as we go through this is making sure that you're trying to maintain that neutral pelvic position as we go through our footwork. So those sit bones are kind of going to be released forward towards the wall. So we're bringing the balls of our feet wrapped around the band here. And we'll start with toes on today, just because that's already where I am. So we're holding on to the band with both hands. Elbows are going to be pressed down into the mat, activating from our triceps and opening up at our collarbones. Pelvis is released forward with your sit bones reaching like 2 flashlights towards the wall. And we're going to put more of a bend in our knees now, just allowing our heels to slide down the wall. We're keeping the feet, knees, and hips all in line with each other. And we'll take an inhale here, and as you exhale, just begin to slide those heels up the wall, keeping that pelvis released forward, getting a nice stretch through the back line of the leg. And then inhale to bend the knees back into your start position. And we'll exhale to push back out. We're looking to keep that balance between the inner and outer thighs here. So inner thighs are hugging towards each other, and we lift up through the pelvic floor as we push the legs away. But we also have that wrapping sensation from the outside of our hips. Finding that balance keeps the hips, knees, and ankles all in line. Let's go 2 more like this. Last one. We'll lower back down. We're going to play around with heels on as well. I know we typically do that first in footwork. So heels come on the elastic. I'm going to try keeping those toes reaching down, but not really tensing those tendons at the top of your foot either. Still looking to keep the feet, the knees, and the hips all in line with each other. Elbows are still pressing down into the mat. We'll take an inhale here and exhale, reaching those heels towards the ceiling, keeping that stretch once again through the back line of the body. Inhaling to lower and exhaling to straighten. And we'll keep going here. Again, continuing to find that balance between the inner and outer thighs with the goal of keeping those legs in a nice alignment. Pelvis is still released forward with the sit bones reaching towards the wall. We'll do 2 more like this. Last one. We'll lower the legs back down into a slight bend so that we can switch positions. So we're going to go back to toes on the band. Mine's getting a little bit rolled up. You may have to fix that at some point yourself. Okay, so toes are going to come on, and you can connect the heels together now. So we're going into V position. So again, we're holding onto the band. Elbows are pressed once again down into the mat, opening from the collarbones. And we'll put more of a bend into the knees. So with this one, we're really going to start to feel those inner thighs here. So we'll take an inhale to prepare it. And again, as you exhale, we're reaching those heels up towards the ceiling. Trying to get those knees to connect together if you can. And then inhaling to slowly bend back down. Exhaling, reaching up towards the ceiling, keeping the pelvis released forward. Inner thighs are hugging towards each other, but we're also getting that wrapping sensation from the outside of the hip. And then inhaling to bend back in. Exhaling to push out. And inhaling to bend. We'll do a couple more in this position. Last one. And from here, we'll bend the knees once again a little bit. We're going to go into our wide V heels, or I guess technically toes. We're going to keep the ball of our foot on the band. So feet are wide on the band now, and we're in an externally rotated position at the hip. So toes are pointing out, And we'll go ahead and bend the knees for our start position. We'll take an inhale here and exhale to straighten those legs, reaching the heels towards the ceiling. And inhale to bend back in. Keeping those feet pointed outwards by rotating from the hip. Inhaling to lower and exhaling to straighten, reaching towards the ceiling. Continue to try to keep that pelvis released forward, reaching those sit bones towards the wall. And we'll go 2 more like this. Last one. From here, we're going to come back to parallel position, keeping the toes on the band. Mine got rolled up a little bit again. I'm going to fix that. Okay, so our feet are in a parallel position. And we're going to have the legs completely straight here. So we're going to try our calf raises. So for me, I'm going to back up a little bit so my pelvis can stay released forward because my calves are a little bit tight. And I'm keeping a slight bend in my knees, again, so I can keep a nice position here. But typically, if you are able to, you're going to keep those legs straight and pelvis released forward. And so we're starting in a nice stretch here. We'll take an inhale, and as you exhale, we're pointing both the feet up towards the ceiling. And inhale to bend back in. I'm going to play around my knee position, sorry. Exhaling to straighten. Inhaling to flex. Exhale, point. Inhale to flex. We'll just do a couple more like this. And on this next one, when you flex, we'll pause and stay. Whew, and just get a nice stretch through the back line of your body. Taking a few breaths here. And then you can go ahead and bend the knees, release the band, and come off to the side. All right, so we're gonna get into our arm work and abdominal work now. Still using that long band. I'm gonna loop mine around this pole here, but you can also put it into a doorway if you don't have something that works like this. So, go ahead and lie back down on your back. And we're gonna grab a hold of our band with both hands, reaching straight up towards the ceiling. And you may have to reposition yourself a little bit. So the arms, or hands rather, I guess, should be in line with your shoulders with some tension on the band. So you can go ahead and reposition yourself so that you can mimic that sensation. So this is going to be very similar to our 100 prep that we do on the reformer and then our supine arm series that we do on the reformer. So I guess another piece, because we're holding on to the elastic and not loops, you really want to make sure that you're keeping a neutral hand and wrist position. So it might be tempting to either reach towards your thumb side or your pinky side of your hand, but we're really looking to keep things neutral here so that we're not irritating anything around the hand and wrist region of our body. So the first thing we'll do here is just warm up around our lower abdominals. So we're keeping those shoulders plugged down, and we're keeping the collarbone wide as well as the shoulder blades. We'll take an inhale here and exhale just to bring that right leg up to tabletop. And we're gonna go into leg changes. So we're gonna take an inhale here to prepare and exhale to switch. Right lowers, left lifts. Inhale and pause, exhale to switch. Inhale, pause, exhale, switch. What we're looking for here is that we're keeping the arms completely still. Shoulders are plugged down against the resistance of the band. We're keeping the tension out of our necks. And we're also looking at the lower abdominals here with our leg changes, making sure that we're drawing that belly button in towards the spine in order to maintain a nice and neutral pelvic position. So there might be a small space beneath the low back. We're going to bring both legs up to tabletop now. With control, don't do what I just did. And from here, we're going to go into our 100 prep. So we're going to take an inhale to prepare. Let's actually start with chest expansion. So you're going to keep your head rested down. So let's do that again. I'll take an inhale to prepare and exhale just to lower the arms down by your sides. And inhale to return back to your start position. And I will mention now, if this position becomes too much with the legs, you can always go through this entire series with your feet rested down. But if you are with me, we're bringing the legs back up to tabletop, and let's go back through our chest expansion. So shoulders are plugging down. We'll take an inhale to prepare, exhale to lower, inhale to come back to our start position. We'll keep going here for 5 more. As you lower the arms and return to your start position, see if you can continue to keep that reach in order to keep the tension out of the neck here. We'll do 2 more. We'll pause and come back to our start position. And from here, we're going to go into our 100 prep. So we'll take an inhale to prepare. Exhale, lower the arms as you lift your head, neck, and shoulders. Inhale, bring the arms back up to the knees. Lower down as one unit. Exhale to repeat. Head, neck, and shoulders lift. Arms lower. Arms lift on an inhale. We lower down as one unit. And we'll keep going here. On this next one, when we lift, we're going to pause and stay. Take an inhale and exhale to straighten those legs out. Inhale to bend back in. We're going to do 2 like this. 1 more. Bend the knees. Bring the arms back up. Lower down as one unit. You can hug your knees in towards your chest and relax your arms for a moment. We'll come back up into that position. We have 1 more abdominal exercise. So arms are reaching up towards the ceiling once again. Legs are in tabletop. We're going into coordination. So follow with me. We'll take an inhale to prepare. Exhale, lower the arms, lift the head, neck, and shoulders, straighten the legs. Open, close, bend the knees, and we'll lower down as one unit. Exhale, lift, open, close, inhale, bend, lower down as one unit. We're going to do 3 more. Exhale, lift, open, close, bend, lower. Exhale, lift, open, close, bend, and we lower. We'll rest the hands and the feet again for 1 moment. You can rock your legs side to side if needed. And we're going to continue here, finishing up our supine arm series. So arms are going to be reaching straight up towards the ceiling once again. And with control, we're bringing both legs up to tabletop. And we're going to go into abduction now. So you're going to lower your arms down by your sides and we'll keep them there. Keep that reach of your fist towards the wall or away from the band. We're going to inhale and open out to a T position. Exhale to close. Inhale to open. Exhale, close. We'll go 3 more here. Last one. We'll keep the arms by our sides. We're going into circles. So we're going to rotate, palms face the floor. Coming up to shoulder height. Arms come out to that T position and we exhale, arms come back down towards our hips. Rotate palms to the floor, up to shoulder height or towards the ceiling, out to a T, and we close back to the hips. We'll go 2 more like that. Ceiling, T position, exhale, close back to the hips. Last one, ceiling, out to a T position, exhale to close. We're going to change directions now. So palms stay facing the hips. We open out to a T, up to the ceiling. Exhale, lower down by the hips. Rotate, out to a T, up to the ceiling. Exhale, lower. 2 more like this. Last one. Arms stay lowered down at the sides. We're keeping those arms reaching away from the band, keeping it out of our neck. We're going to go into a bend of the elbows here. Exhale to straighten. Let's go palms facing the hips here. Little different than what we typically do, but feels better when you're holding on to an elastic and not a loop. We're going 3 more. We'll bend the elbows, lower one leg at a time back down to the mat, and you can release the band and rock your knees side to side, and we'll hug them in towards the chest. Okay. I had to fix the camera angle there, so you can go ahead and lie back down on your back. We're taking that loop, or the band, and looping it around, rather, the ball of your foot. So we're starting with the band wrapped around the right foot, and we're going to start with that right knee bent to 90 degrees. You're going to rotate your palms so that your palms are facing each other, thumbs are facing you, and elbows are pinned down to the mat. That's going to keep kind of your arms out of the picture here. Left leg, 2 options. You can either bring that left leg up to tabletop. That's going to be a little bit harder variation. Today, just because of how my legs are feeling, I'm going to keep that left leg lowered. I want this to feel a little bit more like a nice flowy release. So we're going to start with just some activation of the back line of that right leg. Keeping a nice neutral pelvis, low back. There's a slight space. Belly button's drawing in towards the spine. We're going to take an inhale here to prepare. And as you exhale, we're activating from the back line of that right leg as the right leg straightens out against the resistance of the band. We inhale to bend back into that tabletop position. Exhale to straighten. Inhale to bend. So I would say this is a similar sensation to when we do frog in our hip work, except for we are in a neutral hip position right now instead of being externally rotated. We're going to go 2 more of this motion. We're going to keep the leg long here. We're going to go into some circles. We're going to lift the leg up to start. Let's take an inhale here. Exhale to lower the leg towards the floor. And we circle up and around. Exhale, lower. Inhale, circle up and around. We'll do 2 more in this direction. Trying to keep those hands and the arms out of it, so we're really keeping those arms pinned down to the mat. We'll pause here, take an inhale, exhale, circle down and around. Inhale to come back up. Last one. We're going to lower down halfway. We're going into opening. So we'll inhale to open. Exhale. Pull with the upper inner thigh, bringing that leg back to center. Inhale to open. Exhale to close. Inhale, open. Exhale to close. 2 more like this. Last one. And we're going to switch legs. Holding on to the band, you can just swap out your feet and lower that opposite foot to the mat or bring it up to tabletop depending on what variation you've chosen. And that left leg is also coming into that tabletop position. Arms are plugged down into the mat, activating from the triceps. We're going to take an inhale to prepare, exhale, activating from the back line of that left leg now to straighten out. And inhale to bend. Exhale to straighten. And inhale to bend. We'll continue 4 more with this position, or this movement, I guess I should say. Being mindful of what your right leg is doing. So if that knee has a tendency to want to kind of flail out, try to keep that activation from the inner portion of your right arch, as well as your right inner thigh. We have 2 more like this. Last one. We push out and we'll stay, legs stay straight, and lift the leg up. We're going into circles down. So we'll take an inhale to prepare, exhale to lower, inhale to circle up and around. Last one in this direction. We'll pause at the top, take an inhale, exhale, circle around and down, and we come back up. And we'll pause, coming just about halfway down on that diagonal line. Let's inhale to open, exhale to close. Upper inner thigh engages. Inhale, open. Only opening to the point where that right leg is staying in a nice neutral position. Exhale, close. We'll do 3 more like this. Last one. And we'll lower that leg down to the mat. So we're going to get into our spinal articulation now. So we're going to go into bottom lift. So you're going to grab your chair. All right, so we're going to get into our spinal articulation now. So we have the chair set up right at the edge of the mat. And there's 2 options here. I'm setting my chair up where it's not backed up against anything. So there is a tendency for the chair to maybe move a little bit. If you don't feel comfortable with that, you can also set your chair up against the wall. The reason I set it up like this, I really want this to feel similar to when we do it on the reformer, where you'll kind of get a sense of that as we go along. But if this chair feels like it's going to move, it feels very similar to pulling the carriage all the way into the stopper when we're lifting up into our bridge position. So you can go ahead and lie down on your mat, and we're going to bring the toes on to the edge of the chair. And let's start with just a little bit of pelvic rocking, just to kind of warm up that lower abdominal connection again. So we inhale, release the pelvis forward, and then exhale, tucking that pelvis back. Not yet lifting the sacrum off the mat. Really play around with that lower abdominal connection. So we're not really tightening the glutes quite yet, but more drawing that belly button to spine, almost like you wanted your abdominal muscles to touch the mat beneath you. Inhale, release forward. On this next one, we're going to lift up. So we're going to take an inhale to prepare, exhale, tucking at the pelvis, and this time we're going to be lifting 1 bone at a time, all the way up into our bottom lift or bridge. Inhale and pause at the top. Exhale to slowly articulate back down. Trying our best here as we lower to keep that chair still. There might be a tendency to kind of want to push the chair away, but if we think more about drawing the chair towards us, you'll get a better activation of the back line of the body without feeling like the chair's going to fall or slide away. Inhale to prepare, exhale we tuck, and slowly lift once again, 1 bone at a time, all the way up into our bottom lift. Inhale, pause at the top, and we'll exhale to articulate back down. On this next one, we're going to pick up pace. So we inhale and prepare, and we exhale to articulate up. No pause here. We inhale to articulate back down. We're going 3 more at this pace. Exhale to articulate back up. Inhale to articulate back down. 2 more. Should be really feeling those glutes and hamstrings right about now. I just felt my chair move a little bit. Legs are getting tired. Last one here. Pause here at the top. We're going to take an inhale and exhale. Slowly with control, articulate all the way back down to the mat. And we'll hug our knees in towards our chest. So from here, we're going to get into some of our standing stretches and leg work. So you can go ahead and come up and set yourself up for the rest of the series. Change the camera angle so you can see me for some of our standing work. You're going to grab a hand towel. We're going to bring it onto the floor and we're going to go into our standing lunge stretch. I'm set up here with a convenient railing I have in my house, but you can also do this facing a kitchen counter or a table. So you're going to bring your right foot onto the towel, hands are going to come onto the table or counter in front of you, and we're going to work on just bending into that left knee. As we bend and the right leg comes back, we're looking to keep the left knee in line with the foot and ankle. So we're just going to go through some range of motion here. Not really worrying about the breath pattern here so much, but more just kind of paying attention to the form here. So as you come back, making sure that the knee doesn't drive forward, but rather you're getting weight into the back of that left hip. We'll go a couple more here. And on this next one, when you push that right leg out, we're going to pause and stay. We're looking to get a stretch at the right hip flexor. So we're keeping our spine long, but we're going to create a little bit of a tuck through the pelvis. That's going to help open up through the front of that right leg. And we're going to hold this position and just take a few breaths. Trying to keep the spine long, shoulders relaxed. And like I said, slight tuck of the pelvis so that you feel a nice lengthening effect through the front of that right leg. And from here, we'll straighten back out in that left leg, bringing the right foot back in and switching sides. So now left foot's on the towel, holding on to the railing or table or counter. And again, we'll go through that range of motion. So we're just bending through the front leg, pushing that left leg back now. And then we'll come back in. Just warming up to the motion, kind of paying attention to our form, trying to keep that knee in line with the foot and ankle, not allowing it to drive too far forward. We'll do 2 more like this. I guess another cue is we're looking to also keep our pelvis square to the table. There might be a tendency to kind of want to open up towards the leg you're stretching. Squaring yourself off is going to get a nicer stretch through that left leg. On this next one, as you come out, we'll pause and stay. I might have said next one already, sorry. So hips are square, knee in line with that ankle, shoulders relaxed, slight tuck from the pelvis, and we're breathing. And we'll bring that leg back in. We'll put the towel off to the side, but keep it close, we're going to use it again. And we're going to go into what feels similar to up stretch. So I'm going to set myself up using the railing, but again, you can use the counter or kitchen table. So hands are going to come onto the counter or table. You're going to walk your feet back, and we're going to be on our toes, so heels are lifted. I'm going to put a nice bend in my knees to start. We're going to push our hips back, sit bones reaching up towards the back upper corner of the wall. And we're looking to get a nice straight line through the upper back and through the spine. From here, once you achieve that, if you can begin to straighten out the legs, that's great. And again, looking to keep those sit bones reaching high. So you're kind of like this, and we're rounded through the spine. See if you can release that forward. You're going to feel a nicer stretch through your hamstrings. So from here, we're going to play around with going into a plank position. So we're going to take an inhale, coming up into our plank, and then exhale, hinging back into our up stretch. Inhale up into our plank, and exhale, hinging back into our up stretch. We'll do a couple more like this. And on this next one, we'll come back into our up stretch one more time, and we'll hold that for a few breaths. And then we'll come on up from that position. So go ahead and grab that towel again. We're going to go into skater. So I'm going to bring the towel onto the floor. Right foot's going to come onto the towel. I'm going to show you a couple variations of this exercise too. First, what it feels most similar to what we do on the reformer, and then the second is just a nice variation that we can do on the floor. So right foot's on the towel. I'm going to move over this way a little bit so I have some room to move. And you're going to put a soft bend into both knees. So we're almost going into a little bit of a squat. We're trying to keep the shoulders as best we can stacked over the hips here. There are definitely, usually when we're doing a normal squat, there's that hip hinge coming forward. We are still hinging a little bit at the hips, but trying to stay a little bit more upright here. Knees, the feet, knees, and hips all are in line with each other. I'm slightly out of breath from that last exercise, if you can't tell. Okay, so from here, left leg is going to stay bent. We'll bring our hands to our hips. We'll take an inhale to prepare. Exhale to straighten that right leg out. Inhale to bend back in. As you push this right leg out, we're looking to keep the body centered over that left leg. Should feel that left lateral glute activating here. Your glute med. We're going to do two more. Last one. We'll stand up, and we're going to stay on this side. So slight variation here. Instead of staying in the bend, we're going to start straight, go into a bend, and then come back up. So right foot stays on the towel. We'll take an inhale to prepare. Exhale to bend into that left leg. Right leg comes out. Inhale to come back up. We'll just try a few like this. Trying to keep, again, everything in line on that left leg. We have that wrapping from the outside of the hip so that the knee doesn't start to draw in. We'll do two more. Last one. And we'll come back up and switch sides, and we'll do both variations on the other side as well. So now we have the left foot on the towel. I'm going to move over this way a little bit. We'll start with both knees into a little bit of a bend, trying to keep our torso upright, abdominals drawn in. That right hip, knee, ankle all stay in line throughout, and we keep that bend into that right knee throughout as well. We'll take an inhale to prepare, and exhale to push that left leg out to the side. Inhale to draw back in. Exhaling out. Inhaling back in. We'll do three more. Last one. We'll draw back in and stand up. And we'll go into our second variation. So we start in a standing position. That right leg is straight. Take an inhale to prepare. And we exhale to bend into that right leg as the left leg comes out. And then inhale to come back up to a standing position. So all that work, once again, is on that right glute now, that glute med on the side of your right hip. We'll do two more like this. Last one. Okay. We'll finish up today with some
mermaid on the mat, and then some back extension. So when I do mermaid on the mat, I really like to use a Pilates ball. If you don't have this, you can also use a foam roller, and if you don't have that, you can just modify and keep your hand planted on the mat. So we're gonna cross the right leg in front of the left, the same way we would do if we're on the reformer, and that ball is gonna come into your right hand off to the side. We're gonna keep a soft bend in the elbow to start to make sure that we're keeping that shoulder plugged down, and the left arm is gonna come out to our side. We're gonna take an inhale to roll the ball, coming out to that diagonal line, and we'll exhale to rotate towards the ball. Inhale to unwind, and exhale to come back up. Again, trying to keep that right shoulder plugged down as you come back in. And we'll repeat that. So we'll inhale to come into our diagonal line here. Exhale to rotate. Inhale to unwind. And exhale to come back in. Last one. We'll bring the left hand down to the mat and the right one overhead for a counter stretch. From there, you can grab the ball, bring it into your left hand, and we'll switch legs. So left leg crosses in front of the right. Then we bring that ball, I'm gonna scoot myself over so you can see me. That ball is into the left hand now. We're keeping our body stacked. Right arm comes out to the side. From here, we'll inhale onto that diagonal line once again, and exhale to rotate towards the ball. Inhale to unwind, and exhale to come back in. Inhale out, exhale to rotate. Inhale, unwind, exhale, come back in. Last one. Inhale, unwind, and exhale, come back in. We'll bring that right foot down to the mat and left leg overhead for a counter stretch. All right, we'll bring that ball off to the side, and we're gonna finish today with just some back extension. So we're gonna finish today with just some back extension, so you can go ahead and lie down on your stomach. Legs are long, ankle bones are hugging towards each other. Arms are long, reaching towards your toes to get that nice activation from the lats. Drawing that belly button in towards the spine, favoring maybe a little bit of a tuck from the pelvis. And we'll take an inhale to lift from right between the shoulder blades, keeping the neck and the lower back long. Exhale, lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. We'll just do two more. Last one. And we'll bring the arms to the side of our cheeks. And we'll sit back for a rest pose. And we'll take an inhale here. And exhale to slowly stack one bone at a time up into a kneeling position. So that concludes our workout. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Any feedback would be great. Continuing to just try to get creative and staying active and as close to sane as possible at home. Hope you guys are all doing